Wait, is this true? Hey, Elon, every single person in this country deserves to know their rights. That's legal. Maybe you should brush up on our laws, given the fact that you're breaking them to steal Americans' sensitive data. I think this is true. I think he is breaking a law right now. P.S. This video is manipulated, and I wasn't even at the event shown. Is that true? I don't know how it's not criminal. People need to start suing Elon Musk, bro. There needs to be like so many lawsuits against this guy. He retweets so much misinformation or fake news. Like just straight out lies, and he gets away with it. Amazing. Trump becomes first fascist in history to reduce the size of government. I feel like it's pretty common when authoritarians get in power that the first thing they do is usually kick out the other political parties now. Also, the government size hasn't been reduced yet either, but... Night of the Long Knives. Was Hitler reducing the government size? I got somebody that emailed me a bunch of shit on that, one of the big reasons why Germans, I don't know how true this is, because we haven't read our book yet, although those books did get here, I do have them now. One of the big reasons why Hitler was able to lie so much is because to Germans, they never actually lost World War I. Nobody actually knew, like, what the fuck was going on. I don't know how true this is. The email I got from some fucking loser. But he said that Germans were told basically that we're actually doing great. Everything's going amazingly. And then when the armistice came, all the German citizens were like, why the fuck are we getting fucked so hard? I thought we were doing fine the whole time. I thought that we were like doing amazingly. And then that was one of the reasons why Hitler was able to capitalize on that stab in the back myth that like, well, the Jews fucked us over and shit happened or whatever, because apparently the German citizens thought up through the end of World War I that they were actually doing really well. But I don't know how true that is. That was just an email I got.
Men have been identified. Shaving their heads is the least that should happen. Their names, drag their fucking bodies. It's time to drop the mitts. You need to know which knees to cripple, how many to cripple, and where the data got sent. It's time to hunt.
Okay, these are kind of unhinged. Jesus.
All of these people live somewhere. It's time to do more than dragging names. Let's drag their necks up by a large coil of rope. If they feel they can walk into your government buildings with impunity, just remember they all have addresses of their own. This is from 8 hours ago with 1,000 upvotes.
I mean, this is fair. And I'm sure Asmongold did, he probably did a similar video back when Donald Trump and Elon Musk were making names known publicly of some of the people in government that were doing things they didn't like as well, right? I'm sure Asmon made a video covering that too, right?
I'll say it. The Nazi stooge needs to be shot. Dox these people and let us deal with them. Where are they on media? Where do they live?
That's why DRT0 was banned, because he asked that question? Oh.
Pink missed them all. They need to understand that this is now a war, and in war there are costs for being the enemy.
How are these different from MAGA comments? Well, because these people are referring to people that are cooing our government, and MAGA comments are usually just referring to people doing their job. I would say that these probably aren't good either, at least not on a public platform like Reddit, but...
And these people, make no mistake, are the enemies. Now, this may sound crazy, but they had addresses. Not saying someone should pay them a visit, but doing this type of thing to the American people should result in you fearing for your life if you get to keep it. So we have a situation on Reddit. This is a collective mental health crisis on Reddit.
I actually missed that. Trump and Elon started making names of random civil servants public. Yeah, fuck. Does anybody have a link to that story? Elon and Trump publicly name... Fuck, what was it? This was like, I want to say this was over a month ago. It wasn't recent. It was like, well, over a month ago. It's not recent because the last 3 weeks have felt like 2 years. Elon Musk publicized the names of government employees he wants to cut. It's terrifying federal workers. When President-elect Donald Trump said Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy would recommend major cuts to the federal government in his administration, many public employees knew that their jobs could be on the line. Now, they have a new fear, becoming the personal targets of the world's richest man and his legions of followers. Last week, in the midst of the flurry of his daily missives, Musk reposted 2 X posts that revealed the names and titles of people holding 4 relatively obscure climate-related government positions. Each post has been viewed tens of millions of times, and the individuals named have been subjected to a barrage of negative attention. At least one of the 4 women named has deleted her social media accounts. Although the information he posted on those government positions is available through public online databases, these posts target otherwise unknown government employees in roles that do not deal directly with the public. I'm sure Asmongold talked about this. I'm hearing about this for the first time. It's good that you're paying for books given that you're rich, but just for convenience, you should probably know about Anna's Archive or Z Library. Well, I usually buy the physical book and then I'll buy the Kindle version, so. Trump officially withdrew from the UN Human Rights Council today. I thought he did that yesterday, but yeah, I heard that. Good luck, Palestinians. Am I tired, or does Minecraft farming sound like Hawk Tua? Okay. I used to be a Coach Red Pill and Aiden Paladin fan. How do I stop the "a person is bad, therefore everything they ever said is bad" mindset? I don't know. Just try to. You probably need to have your own like ideological foundation so that you can start evaluating what people say. If you don't have a foundation, then you just get into like everybody's good or everybody's bad, or somebody's all good or all bad or whatever. I think is the issue. But Jesus, fuck that. From the Athletic, I'm sorry. Sunday Super Bowl will mark the first time since February 2021 that end racism is not included as a message in the back of the final's end zone, according to league sources. Maybe that's good. Maybe that means we ended racism. Based.
Elon Musk is a whole bitch, working in the interest of foreign aid and H-1B influence to silence USA-bred domestic niggas. In his 2016 Reddit meme repost fugue state, he initiated a...
Okay. Thanks.
First of all,
It's
Trump
one day.
is trying to repackage the status quo as a victory. That's what the leaders of these foreign countries are learning. You don't actually have to give Trump anything.
You just have to make it seem like
you have
he's
to let
getting
him
something.
announce victory on TV.
I feel like Donald Trump could literally, like, Donald Trump could release a tweet at 3 a.m. saying that he's going to, like, nuke the entire fucking atmosphere if the sun doesn't come out. And then at 6 a.m., like, make a tweet saying that he reached an agreement with the sun. And then, like, at 9 a.m. when the sun is fully out, like, MAGA is, like, literally celebrating on Twitter over it. Like, thank God the sun has risen because God Trump willed it. Like, it's actually the most fucking retarded shit. It's so stupid, dude.
Second of all, it's not actually back to the status quo. It is worse than the status quo. As Richard points out, we have tarnished our relationships with our allies whose help we need to rein in China, which I know you care about. Beyond that, think about the additional uncertainty that's being added to the business environment right now. If you are a company and you don't...
I can't imagine what the fuck. If you're a company, what the fuck? What would you even think? What would you want to do? There's another problem with tariffs that are done kind of as sanctions and also just like done by only the president. Like, let's say theoretically the tariffs did go through against Canada and Mexico, right? And then you're in the United States, okay, well, fuck, time to start investing in U.S. companies, I guess, because this shit is fucked now, right? And now, or not now, but then in 2028, Trump, well, Hopefully he's not running again. But say a Democrat comes in and then undoes the tariffs. Now you're fucked. Now you've wasted all this money invested. Like, fuck me. These businesses aren't competitive anymore. Like, it's such a clusterfuck, dude. Holy shit.
You don't know if tariffs are coming or they're not coming. You don't know if your input costs are going to go up or they're not going to go up.
That's true.
Why would you invest? Why would you invest in oil pipelines, for
In
example,
anything.
to Canada? I know you really care about the Keystone Pipeline, for example.
I mean, the one that Biden killed.
Yeah, that
You know that would be the oil.
I don't think Biden killed that one unilaterally. Also, I don't know how you can say Biden killed. I thought, did Trump take credit for killing that? I thought that was dead under, or wait, I might be thinking of actually the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I think that was dead under Obama. Trump tried to take credit for killing it. Keystone Pipeline was dead, though. I don't think Biden killed that. Biden like put the finishing shot in his head.
About the Keystone Pipeline, for example.
I mean, the one that Biden killed.
Yeah, that
You know that would be the oil coming from Canada.
Destiny, that is why any tax changes are announced either ahead and are discussed with the markets beforehand to prevent such uncertainty. Wait, I can't tell if you're trolling or not. But like the legislative process takes a long time, and people can see, like markets and other players internationally can look at, you know, like, okay, well, what's going to happen? Where are the American people feeling? Like it takes time to go through Congress and then to be set by the federal government. Like there's a time there for everybody to adjust. Having the president just do this unilaterally in a single weekend are crazy.
From Canada, which Trump is now threatening to tariff.
But
Why
we
would
didn't.
anybody
We have a deal.
We have a 30-day deal for nothing.
You guys write.
Sorry, I was apparently a few minutes behind the live. 1, illegal entry by definition means it was against the law. 2, Section 1325 of the U.S. Code criminalizes another thing. Yes, but most people that are here legally, for instance, are overstaying visas, so you didn't enter illegally. I don't think they've technically broken a law. They would just get deported if they got caught. The 10% across-the-board tariff on China is now in effect. China came back with 10 to 15% on certain products. Okay, based.
It's the
But
zero.
we need to rein in China.
The concessions that Trudeau gave to Trump yesterday had already been passed in Parliament back in December. He just promised him the same thing that was already coming. Sure. Same thing with the 10,000 troops on the border or whatever. It's like, or police officers or whatever. Were you expecting a much larger reaction by the markets to the tariffs, or was it about where it should be? Well, my question has always been, I don't know what the markets think of the tariffs, if the tariffs are real or not. But apparently the markets didn't think the tariffs were going to happen. And I mean, they didn't. They got pushed back by a month at least. So I guess maybe the markets haven't priced it in, or they don't really think it's going to happen. So who knows? How do you feel about Mexico and Canada helping Trump to save face? Do you think they should just have fully called the bluff? I feel like they should just go nuclear and call it. But, I mean, they don't want to, so what are you going to do? At this point, Saltman might have taken control of his account. Anything to never address anything that was fucking said in that video about Hassan Piker literally just being a full-on terrorist supporter. Okay, good one. True. I think Chinese tariffs are in. Yeah, those are bad, but nowhere near as catastrophic, I think, as the Mexican and Canadian ones that they were talking about. How do you think the plan to get rid of the Department of Education will go? I don't know, my dude. What is this?
We're telling Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth. We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee. We're handing them money hand over fist. We're giving them equipment. European is not keeping up with us. They should equalize. And look, we have an ocean in between.
If they are not allowed admission to the U.S., it is against the law. You read earlier if they are here and they are not allowed under admission. What does this have to do with overstaying a visa? See page 639. In general, an alien who is the subject of a final order for violation of Section 274C is inadmissible. The Attorney General may, in the discretion of the Attorney General for humanitarian purposes, short family unity, waive application of clause 1, etc. Case unlawful alien lawfully admitted for permanent residents who temporarily proceeded abroad voluntarily and not under an order. Okay. Saltman taking control of his account is an anti-Semitic dog whistle, by the way. Why? They're both Jews, right? Does it? It has to do with you pivoting to visas when you found out you were wrong on border jumping. Okay, you're banned. Bye. The majority of people here illegally are here for, and I didn't even pivot. I'm literally asking you to like look up the laws. Let's look up the laws. I could have just said it and left it alone. It's so funny because you will come to the stream and be like hypercritical. I'll be like, I'm not even sure if this is a crime. And then I look it up and they're like, oh, now you're pivoting. It's like, well, no, I looked it up. So if you enter illegally, that is a crime. We see that now. I see that now, right? Show me one of your conservative people or any other fucking retard that you watch that even verifies any of the shit they say is being true. It's fucking retarded. Holy shit. Did SC see the Jew stalker crash on a Dan last night? No, I'm good on. I got other shit to do, okay? Okay, wait, what was this?
We're telling Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth. We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee. We're handing them money hand over fist. We're giving them equipment. European is not keeping up with us. They should equalize. And look, we have an ocean in between. They don't. It's more important for them than it is for us. But they're way below us in terms of money. And they should be paying at least equal. They should really be paying much more than us. But let's say equal to us. And they're billions and billions of dollars below. So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things.
Okay. Most of those rare earths are in Russian-controlled areas right now, so I don't mind Ukraine giving exclusive rights to those minerals to the USA. True and based. All right, final meme video. What is this? One of the earliest hashtag dark woke incidents. What is fucking dark woke? Do I ever want to know what this means?
It's hard to confuse everybody.
Oh, Jesus, this.
You want to kill him with kindness, remember?
That's right. What?
They actually have people filming you the whole time. Which is why I say kill with kindness.
Guess what? Hey.
Destruction of private property. It's against the law.
Somebody gets raped by somebody and they're like, I'm a 16-year-old and I can't have this baby. Think you should keep it?
It's a baby.
Yeah.
If someone is raped and she gave birth and she decided to kill her 3-year-old child.
I meant to get your phone.
Someone call the cops.
Meant to get your phone.
Do not touch me. Someone call the cops. I'm.
Do you think that they will deport those Gazans in the end? I don't think so, because it would be so catastrophic to Israel's PR in the area. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, I mean, if Israel has the full backing and blessing of the United States to start deporting Gazans, then who the fuck knows? Egypt doesn't want them though, and I don't think Jordan wants them. But I mean, like if the U.S. wills it and Israel has that support, I don't know. But I feel like you would anger the citizens of like every fucking surrounding country by doing that. So I have no idea. Trump says Palestinians have no alternative but to leave Gaza. Yeah, I've seen this. I don't know. PR with whom? The Arabs that use them as a cudgel? Well, right now, the Arab leadership in countries like Egypt and Jordan and Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states can kind of like keep their citizens at bay with like, okay, you guys can be anti-Semitic, but like Israel's still cooler than Iran, right? But if, I mean, if they were to deport every Palestinian, that's just, it would cause unbelievable instability in the surrounding countries. That's a lot of people to deport. The Arab citizens of all the countries would fucking hate Israel even more. It would be harder to stomach it from the leadership or to defend it from a leadership perspective. I don't know, man. But who knows? Who knows? What is this?
And it's just this large, and then U.S. media reports on the reports from these USAID funded groups, and then liberals buy it hook, line, and sinker. Now, I want to say this straight up. I am certain that the Houthis are committing human rights violations. I'm sure they're abusing women in detention.
But it's not as much as Israel, Saudi Arabia, or the United States are.
How do I know that? Because America does it. So if it's happening in America, if American women are being raped and murdered and tortured in American prisons, I have no doubt in my mind that it's also happening in Houthi prisons. That would be an insane thing to deny.
Okay. Fucking Israel videos. Fuck politics right now. Let me do a couple of meme videos. Wait, what is this?
The following
Isn't
is
it at least a little bit cathartic to see Piers push a bit on the questions? No, he's not even really pushing. Like, Tucker Carlson is being a full-on fucking retard. It's not like...
The following is a conversation with Satan, acclaimed CEO, entrepreneur, dear friend,
Haven't we watched this before?
and author of the recent best-selling memoirs, From the Depths I Shall Tempt Your Soul. Formerly known as Lucifer, Satan and I have become good friends, bonding over our shared love of literature, quantum physics, and creative methods of torture, like this podcast. As always, I hope to approach this discussion with empathy, to bridge the gap, promote open dialogue, and let love triumph over all, so that I can secure more AG1 partnerships. I'm Lex, and this is my podcast that I made.
Was that the pipes I just heard?
Terms of things that they're doing, and it's important to recognize what we can do and what we cannot do today. Someone said a bartender congresswoman talking about qualifications. Hell yeah, I'm going to talk to you about my qualifications.
Uh-oh, she's getting one guy. Oh no.
Because I know what it's like to be a working class person, and I got elected as the youngest woman in American history to Congress with my knowledge and my ability to organize and connect with my community. So when any one of these people can win an election with that kind of a background and you don't take lobbyist money, then you can give me a call. But until then, these people are seem to be apparently having 3 martini lunches thinking that they can run and command the respect of the Defense Department. So give me a break. Anyways, back to regularly scheduled programming.
Actually,
the leader of House Democrats.
What is this? FBI turns over details of 5,000 employees who worked on January 6 cases to Trump Justice Department as agents sue. Nice. FBI officials have complied with demands to provide the Justice Department with details of thousands of employees who worked on investigations related to the J6 2021 U.S. Capitol riot, according to people familiar with the situation. This demand has caused consternation among FBI employees who fear it is meant to amass a list of personnel for possible termination by the Trump administration. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emile Bove, in a Friday memo with the subject line terminations, had given FBI officials a noon deadline Tuesday to submit the details of thousands of agents and analysts. Wait, really? Is it Bove or Bove? Previously ordered the firing of 8 senior FBI officials, including those that oversaw cyber, national security, and criminal investigations. Jesus Christ. My God, bro. The fucking SS. Let's go. All right. It's time to soy the fuck up. And watch some Israeli content. I'll be back in a sec. Ooh. Hold on, I gotta find these fucking files. Wait. Kill me, bro. Oh boy. Oh wait, where is this Trump and Bibi press conference? This is a good lead-in, I guess.
It didn't happen. Like what it is, peace. Situation and
you'll be.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, do you expect phase 2 of the hostage deal to go forward?
Let me talk to you later.
Mr. President, you managed to get this deal done. Some say, a lot of people say that the men who managed to do that should get a Nobel Peace Prize. Do you think that you'll be able to get all the hostages back home? And what would happen if you hear from the Israelis?
They will never give me a Nobel Peace Prize.
What would happen? What would happen if the Israelis?
I deserve it, but they will never give it to me.
What would happen, sir? What would
Normalization to go forward. What needs to happen for normalization in Saudi Arabia?
Well, we're going to see, and we're dealing with a lot of people, and we have steps to go yet, as you know, and maybe those steps go forward, and maybe they don't. We're dealing with a very complex group of people, situation and people, but we have the right man, we have the right leader of Israel. He's done a great job, and we've been friends for a long time, and we do a great job also. And I think we have a combination that's very unbeatable, actually.
Can I ask, what would happen, Mr. President? What would happen, Mr. President? What would happen if you hear?
Wait a minute. Wait. Where is that person? Where's that person coming from? Come on, go. You go.
What would happen if you'll hear from the Israeli side today that they're not willing to go through with the deal to get all the hostages back home and finish the war?
We'll see what happens. Whatever happens, we'll be prepared to handle the situation.
Are the Saudis demanding a Palestinian state?
Mr. President.
No.
Are the Saudis demanding a Palestinian state?
No, they're not. No.
Are they demanding a path towards a Palestinian state or any other recognition
Everybody's
of that sort?
demanding one thing. You know what it is? Peace. We want peace. We want people to stop being killed. But everybody's demanding one thing. Very simple, peace. And he wants peace also.
Mr. President, do you think it's politically possible in Israel to get this deal done until the end?
To get the deal done?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, is it politically
Why wouldn't a deal get
possible?
done? A deal can get done. We'll see what happens. We're dealing with very complicated people. But a deal can absolutely get done.
President, Israeli strike on Iran.
We'll see what happens.
President Trump, I want Prime Minister Netanyahu. We have heard Joe Biden and Donald Trump take credit for the hostage and ceasefire deal. Who do you think deserves more credit?
I think President Trump added great force and powerful leadership to this effort. I appreciate it. He sent a very good emissary. He's helped it along. And, you know, I'll just tell you, I'm happy that they're here. And I'm sure the president is happy that they're here. And I would think that's about enough.
President Trump, Prime Minister, what about Elizabeth Surkov, the Israeli hostage held in Iraq?
What about the Israeli press taking a press conference in Israel and not in Washington?
We would love to take a press conference to interview Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump.
A few more questions. Prime Minister Netanyahu, do you support going forward with this deal and getting all the hostages out?
I support getting all the hostages out.
Okay.
And
Did they say anything of noteworthiness in here? Or?
That includes destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities and making sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again.
Are you willing?
All three.
Are you willing
and
to
those
agree? Are you willing
things
to
go
agree?
together?
Are you willing
Can you
to agree
promise to the
Trump's
families
vision
that you
to
do
bring all
everything
the
to get the
hostages
hostages out?
I think that I should talk to
One
President
at a
Trump.
time. So
Okay.
I'll ask, do you agree with Trump's vision of getting all the hostages back home, even if it means to end the war?
Well, I'm not sure that you articulate correctly what the president's vision is. You can ask, he can speak for himself. He does that very, very well. I have my own views, 3 goals, not 1, not 2, 3 goals, and I will meet all 3 goals. I think the president can help enormously. He brings fresh thinking.
Can you address the fact that terrorists who murdered hundreds of people who listed their home are the part of the deal?
It's a horrible thing. We can't forget it. I'll never forget it, and you can't forget it. And some people want to put it out of their memory, but we're not going to ever let that happen. It was a horrible day, October 7th. That was a horrible period of time. And a lot of people like to pretend it didn't happen. It happened. There's a big group of people that like to pretend it didn't happen, like the Holocaust didn't happen. Same mindset. And no, we're going to get this thing wrapped up, and we're going to get it done. We're also dealing, I think, very successfully with Russia, Ukraine. We're going to hopefully get that one done at some point in the not too distant future. That's a complex problem also. But we solve problems. When I left, we had no problem. There was no Ukraine and Russia fighting. There was no October 7th. There was nothing. And some very poor leadership led to a lot of problems and a lot of death. And it's a shame, but we'll put it out. We'll put out the fires. We have a lot of fires, but we'll put them out.
Why do you still support the Palestinian state, like the peace plan you presented in January 2020? Is this plan still on the table?
Well, a lot of plans change with time, and a lot of death has occurred since I left and now came back. This death occurred not while I was here, but while somebody else was here. It shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have allowed it to happen. It would have never happened, and that includes Russia-Ukraine would have never happened. Not even a little bit, not even a chance. But now we are faced with a situation that's different, in some ways better and in some ways worse. But we're faced with a very complex and difficult situation, but we'll solve.
Trump did nothing, by the way, when he was president about Ukraine, Russia, and Russia just stepped to their military operations in the Donbass, but okay.
We'll solve the problem.
Refugees get from Gaza out of Gaza. If not Jordan, Egypt, what other countries do you think might accept Palestinians from Gaza?
Well, I think Jordan and Egypt will. I know they've spoken about it with you, and they say they're not going to accept. I say they will. But I think other countries will accept also. I think that Gaza maybe is a demolition site right now. If you look at Gaza, there's hardly a building standing, and the ones that are going to collapse. You can't live in Gaza right now, and I think we need another location. I think it should be a location that's going to make people happy. You look over the decades, it's all death in Gaza. This has been happening for years. It's all death. If we can get a beautiful area to resettle people permanently in nice homes and where they can be happy and not be shot, not be killed, not be knifed to death like what's happening in Gaza. And right now you have in Gaza a very dangerous situation in terms of explosives all over the place, in terms of tunnels that nobody knows who's in the tunnel. The whole thing is a mess. And I think that if we can resettle, and I believe we can do it in areas where the leaders currently say no. I mean, I've been saying that with Mexico, having to do with the border and all of the things, and you saw what happened, 10,000 soldiers, and they're going to do a good job. I really believe that, and I believe Canada's going to do a good job also. They said the same thing, and then they did something much different than what you were hearing. This is a very, very difficult situation, but we're going to get it solved. I don't think people should be going back to Gaza. I think
where the fuck is Antifa at? Weren't they protesting a lot in like 2015, 2016? What happened?
Gaza's been very unlucky for them. They've lived like hell. They lived like you're living in hell. Gaza is not a place for people to be living. And the only reason they want to go back, and I believe this strongly, is because they have no alternative. What's the alternative? Go where? There's no other alternative. If they had an alternative, they'd much rather not go back to Gaza and live in a beautiful alternative that's safe.
Would Palestinians have the right to return to Gaza if they left while rebuilding was happening?
It would be my hope that we could do something really nice, really good, where they wouldn't want to return. Why would they want to return? The place has been hell. It's been one of the meanest, toughest places on earth. And right now, I've seen every picture from every angle, better than if I were there. And nobody can live there. You can't live there. So if we can build them through massive amounts of money supplied by other people, very rich nations, and they're willing to supply it. If we can build something for them in one of the countries, and it could be Jordan, it could be Egypt, it could be other countries, and you could build 4 or 5 or 6 areas. It doesn't have to be one area, but you take certain areas and you build really good quality housing, like a beautiful town,
In
like someplace where
Sinai.
they can live and not die. Because Gaza is a guarantee that they're going to end up dying. The same thing's going to happen again. It's happened over and over again, and it's going to happen again as sure as you're standing there, Peter. So
I hope that we could do something where they wouldn't want to go back. Who would want to go back? They've experienced nothing but death and destruction.
What will you do then?
Well, I don't think they're going to tell me no.
I
don't think they're going to. I think they're going to tell Biden no, and I think they're going to tell other people no.
So you think it will happen at the end?
I think there's a good chance. Yeah.
How many people are you thinking about?
All of them. I mean, we're talking about probably 1,000,007 people, 1,000,007, maybe 1,000,008. But I think all of them. I think they'll be resettled in areas where they can live a beautiful life and not be worried about dying.
1,000,007, 1,000,008, 1.7, 1.8 million people. Damn, somebody actually told him the numbers. He's actually almost thought about this a little bit, or at least he's communicating to someone else.
Yeah.
Mr. President, do you support building settlements, Jewish settlements back in Gaza in the next years?
Say it.
Building settlements, Jewish settlements back in Gaza in the next year. Do you support this idea?
I don't see it happening. It's too dangerous for people. Nobody can go there. It's too dangerous. Nobody wants to be there. Warriors don't want to be there. Soldiers don't want to be there. How can you have people go back? You're saying go back into Gaza now? The same thing's going to happen. It'll only be death. The best way to do it is you go out and you get beautiful, open areas with the sunlight coming through.
No,
and
that's not what I meant.
Something nice. They are not going to want to go back to Gaza.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, what is your message to the families of the hostages that look at this deal, that worried that this deal won't go through? What do you say to them at this moment?
Same message I said from the beginning of the war. We'll get them out, get them back. We got over 70%, close to 75% of the people who everybody believed would not get out. We got them in successive deals, and most recently with the help of President Trump. We're not going to give up on any of them, and we're not going to give up on our other war aims. Hamas is not going to be in Gaza, and we're going to get everyone back.
And you would not have.
How optimistic are you about reaching phase 2 of the ceasefire? How optimistic are you about that happening?
Well, we're going to try. That's one of the reasons, one of the things we're going to talk about here. And if we, you know, when Israel and the United States work together, and President Trump and I work together, you know, the chances go up a lot. It's when we don't work together, Israel and the United States don't work together, that creates problems. When the other side sees daylight between us and occasionally in the last few years, to put it mildly, they saw daylight. Then it's more difficult. When we cooperate, chances are good.
Once and for all?
Say it.
Now that Iran is so weak, isn't it the right time to get their nuclear facilities once and for all?
So you say Iran is so weak. I appreciate you saying that. They're not weak. They're very strong right now, and we're not going to allow them to have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You know, I signed a very strong proclamation. Iran was in big trouble.
Warrior is a direct translation of the Hebrew term for IDF combat soldier.
When I left, they were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have any money for Hezbollah. You had no problem. October 7th could have never happened. When I left, October 7th could have never happened. And frankly, Russia and Ukraine, as I said, could never have happened. They became very strong very fast. They sold massive amounts of oil to China and everybody else who would not buy the oil when I was president, because we said, don't buy the oil. And they became very rich very quickly. But they're not weak. They're not weak. They're strong. Doesn't mean they won't be weak. But you know what? We just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
The Prime Minister, the Prime Minister wants you to strike Iran. That's what he wants.
You don't know what he wants. What do you know about anything? Go ahead.
But is that option on the table?
Yes,
President Trump, is that option on the table?
No, it could be other places too. There are many people that have reached out, many countries, many leaders of countries that have reached out that would like to participate in that. Doesn't have to be Jordan and Egypt, but I think it would be also them.
Mr. President, your relationship with Mr. Netanyahu knew ups and downs. How would you describe it?
No, I think it's mostly ups.
Mr. President, Palestinian Authority should rule Gaza because Gaza will be empty.
What?
The Palestinian Authority can it rule Gaza? What do you think?
Well, it's had a pretty hard time, wouldn't you say? I'd say it's had a pretty bad time of it.
Mr. President, Qatar has, you've criticized in the past as a funder of terrorism, so as the Prime Minister, do you think they're part of the solution or part of a problem moving forward?
I think they're trying to help. Qatar is absolutely trying to help. I know them very well, and they're doing everything they can. Very tough situation, but they're absolutely trying to help. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Great. Okay. Jesus. We got through 5 out of 58 videos. Good job. Okay, take a deep breath. Imagine yourself transported to the great lands of Israel. I think the last thing we watched was the interview with Mordechai Kedar, right? Do you think the conflict would end like this in your lifetime, or do you think the resettlements aren't actually going to happen? Bro, you cannot make any predictions. Like, I don't think the U.S. is a stable power right now. Who the fuck knows? Okay. Well, all right. Regardless, I think we were on the street for a bit. I'm guessing we watched this Loner Bucks chatting with Severalizer, I think. Then we had our chats with Mordechai, Kedar. I think the chat with Mordechai, Kedar, this is like a doctor dude. Doctor is in like, I think a historian. I think a PhD historian. He's written books, released one book on, fuck. Was it Assad? I think. He speaks Arabic. Very doomer take. This guy gave us a very doomer take. I came away with a very doomer take on this. Felt like the Palestinians were crazy. And nobody had a desire to actually learn and talk about anything, because his big criticism was that a lot of Israeli negotiators in the past never even learned Arabic, so they couldn't understand the media, the news. Nobody could understand what was going on. Seemed kind of doomer. That was the take that I had from him. Came away feeling kind of depressed. But okay, all right. The next interviews that we did was with a guy called, I think we were on a much shorter timetable here, but Yair Golan. I believe at one point in time, he was considered a potential for next prime minister. No, actually, I think his party was relatively not that popular. I don't know how realistic it would have been that he was, but older military guy in Israel. I think this guy had a pretty amazing backstory. Not a backstory, but like during October 7th, had some pretty insane actions, but he might bring them up in one of our conversations, so. Yair Golan, good morning. Thank you for inviting us to your beautiful house this morning. For my YouTube audience that doesn't know anything about you, how would you introduce yourself to a foreign audience?
I'm married to Ruti for the last 42 years. We have 5 sons, 1 granddaughter. I was a military man for 38 years and finished my service in late 2018. And I became a politician from the Zionist left sector in 2019. And since then, I constantly fighting for saving Israel from the hands of corrupted and messianic people who are truly the biggest threat to our existence. And as usual, the internal threats are much more serious from the external one.
Messianic in Israel is going to refer to people who have like almost a borderline or an actual like religious obsession with controlling like the West Bank, or generally the West Bank, expansion of Israel, holy right of Israel to control this land, basically.
When and why do you think Israel and their political scene and the people in the country started to support the right? What do you think it started? Like around what years, and why do you think it's continued in that direction?
I think that there was a huge expectation in Israel to reach peace during the 90s. And no doubt that the fact that the Oslo agreement failed so terribly, and with the Second Intifada.
So peace during the 90s. 90s was the the Oslo Accords. The Oslo Accords were the first time there was any kind of like formal agreement between the Israelis and the Palestinians and like reaching some kind of Palestinian state. There probably was a lot of genuine interest between the Israelis and the Palestinians to reach some kind of peace, but it ultimately failed. And then in 2000, the Second Intifada begins.
Which was quite a trauma for the Israeli society. And then the implementation of the disengagement plan that also didn't bring us, some sort of reconciliation process. And by the end of that, the failure of the Annapolis process altogether created the notion that there is no one to talk to.
I think after the Second Intifada, Sharon does unilateral disengagement, meaning there's no negotiating with the Palestinians. He just says, fuck it, we're leaving Gaza. And then I believe the Annapolis project might have been 2008. I think that was Yossi Beilin and some other people, and maybe Olmert, were trying to create this super formal structure for peace, but nothing came out of these things. Let me check on this Annapolis thing. 2007. And then, yeah, it was Olmert and then Mahmoud Abbas were here, but nothing came of it.
And we cannot move forward with the Palestinians. And therefore, we need to be more tough, brutal, and so on and so on. You know, all these nationalistic, extreme nationalistic notions. So I think this is the problem. People forget here in Israel that basically we have only two options concerning, you know, our destiny. Where are we heading? Annexation or separation? I think that annexation is the end of Israel. And therefore, we need to stick with the concept of separation. How to implement this concept? Well, this is a huge question. My perception is very simple. We need, on the one hand, to reach a total civil separation, and at the same time, to keep security responsibility in our hands. By doing that, we keep Israel as a country with a vast Jewish majority. This is the homeland of the Jewish people. And at the same time, we do not neglect our security to the hands of others. We keep the responsibility for security in our hands, and we need to admit this is the most important, this is the issue that truly concerns every Israeli civilian.
When you look at the settlers,
Citizen,
when you look at the settlers that are moving into the West Bank, or you look at some people and the way that they talk about expanding into, you know, the ancient lands of Judea and Samaria, does it feel like the majority of the people pushing in that direction are pushing for security reasons or for messianic?
For most Israelis, they do not care.
Okay.
Most Israelis never ever visit the West Bank. They don't care about it. From them, it's, you know, it's behind, you know, the hills. It's you know, no man's lands. You know, this is not an issue for most Israelis. Most Israelis truly care about security, and they want to feel safe and secure. And I think this is totally understandable. We need to show them. We need to explain over and over again that the best thing for our destiny, the best thing for our security, is to separate ourselves from the Palestinians, to lessen the friction between two hostile populations, and to start somewhere in the future, sometime in the future, a process of reconciliation. But we need to, you know, to establish the right condition for that. I have no intention to say that we don't have very strong emotional connection to Judea and Samaria. Yes, if you look at the Bible, you know, the stories of the Bible had happened, you know, in Judea and Samaria. This is the heart of the Jewish people. But right now, you know, in our modern era, we managed to create the Zionist miracle, and we need to admit that, all right, there is another people here, pretty much the same size. They have their own willingness to have their own, you know, independent state. Some of them want to destroy the Jewish state. So we need to figure out, all right, how should we move forward in this, you know, complicated situation? And my perception, we need a Jewish state with a vast Jewish majority, and at the same time, democratic, liberal, free, egalitarian state.
How do you argue against right-wingers that point out that when Sharon disengaged from Gaza, we got Hamas. When there was retreat from Lebanon, we get Hezbollah. The West Bank, there are issues. When people say, well, every time every time Israel pulls out of a particular area, it seems like it just becomes another place for violent activity to flourish. Yeah, and so people would say, well, if you give them a whole state, it seems like it would just be that problem, but even worse. What's the counter retort?
So therefore, I think that the lesson is that we should disengage ourselves from the Palestinians, but at the same time, we need to keep responsibility for security in our hands.
The big question when you're in Israel and you're talking to an Israeli and you're trying to figure out what the overall situation should look like, that's good for both sides. The security question is the thing that comes up over and over again. It's basically, I guess now we don't really talk about it at all in the West because it's all just about genocide and apartheid. But I do think he's correct in that what most Israelis want is they just want to feel like, okay, fine, if there's a separate state or whatever, like I just want to know that we're not going to be getting bombed or terrorist attacked all the time. Like there can't be any more rockets, there can't be constant terrorist attacks, there can't be people who are literally chanting every day about how they want to kill us. Like that's the biggest concern with a lot of, I think with most of the people that live in Israel proper.
The meaning of that, on the operational field is keeping freedom of action, freedom of military action. This is my perception. Let's take the Gaza Strip, for instance. We need to reach a ceasefire as soon as possible, no doubt. We need to free the hostages as soon as possible, no doubt. But we need to keep freedom of action concerning, land operations inside the Gaza Strip whenever it's needed.
Earlier when you speak about negotiating with the Palestinians, who should be negotiated with? Do you think that there's a strong voice, or what even represents the Palestinians right now when the PA is so unpopular and Hamas has so many seats, but for obvious reasons we don't want to negotiate with Hamas yet?
The only acceptable entity that represents the Palestinians is the Palestinian Authority, whether we like it or not. By the way, on the
who represents the Palestinians is a very contentious question because the PA is the official organization that was created by the Oslo Accords, which largely failed, arguably. Got into the Second Intifada. After the collapse of the Oslo Accords, the Palestinian Authority was the government that was created to represent the Palestinians, all of them, but they don't. The Palestinian Authority has no control over Gaza, and the Palestinian Authority is deeply unpopular with a lot of the Palestinian people, even in the West Bank. So there's always this question of like, who even has the moral authority and legal authority, not legal authority, the moral authority, I guess, or the popular support, the mandate from the people on the Palestinian side to negotiate with Israel. Like if the leader of the Palestinian Authority, who I think is still Mahmoud Abbas, right? Or Abu Mazen, sometimes you will call him, who can he even negotiate with the Palestinians even follow if he did,
Put aside all these nationalistic rubbish. What we have on a daily basis is a strong connection between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. We work with them on a daily basis. We need to admit it. Why?
Sorry, just trying to get my nose. Go ahead. Jesus.
It's quite crazy. We work with them for the last 30 years. Working with them had ups and downs all the time. But by the end of the day, there is no other entity we can, cooperate with and work with and do something constructive for the destiny of them and for our destiny at the same time. So yes, the Palestinian Authority, they are not Zionists, they are quite corrupted, a problematic entity, but at the same time, the best we find in the Palestinian society. So let's admit it and let's work with them, not against them.
For the Gaza Strip, in terms of finding an end to that conflict, or the current ongoing war, I should say, do you think that the elimination of Hamas, is that realistic? Should that still be the aim, or?
No, we should take examples from, all the from the global experience concerning, dealing with such an entities. And I think you in the US, you have your own, experience in Iraq and Afghanistan. You cannot eliminate them. The Hamas is, a version of the Muslim Brotherhood. You cannot eliminate them. You can fight them.
Was a native language of Israel for Israelis, for Jewish people, is Hebrew.
We need to suppress, their presence, their...
He said this guy was doomer? He seems realistic at the very least. No, I feel like Mordechai Kedar was doomer. This guy feels not doomer when I talk to him.
We need to suppress, their presence, their influence in the region as much as possible. But at the same time, we need to build with the Palestinians an alternative. What is the alternative? All right, we want to take them out of power with going to come instead of them. And here, I don't see any other entity but the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority is not strong enough, to replace Hamas, as in a smooth process. And therefore, we need the backing of regional power and the US in order to create a very strong pressure on Hamas, not just militarily, but also concerning all civilian aspects of life.
Okay, and then I guess one or two last questions. How do you balance out the desire to have the Palestinians represented by an entity like the Palestinian Authority with the fact that given free elections, Hamas would dominate the Palestinian political life, I guess, the PLO. How do you balance that out, saying that I know that most of you guys might favor Hamas, but you should favor the PA, but also we want you to be free and be able to choose what you want to do.
I don't think...
Okay, I'm not trying to glaze. God, I hate fucking Lex Friedman, okay? Okay, one of the issues with the Palestinians or the Palestinian Authority is people are like, okay, well, they should hold democratic elections. But the leader of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, who's the leader of the PLO and the biggest political coalition of parties basically for Palestinians, is like, okay, well, if we hold elections, Hamas is going to win way more seats, so that's not good. So there's this like tension between, well, we want them to be democratic people who are voting on things, but also if they do vote on things and vote for Hamas, well, what are we going to do? Because that's kind of what happened in the Gaza Strip, where they had elections and then they voted for Hamas. It's like, okay, well, fuck, right? Now, that's only a thing that I can know and ask a question about because I've actually read and studied about this area in the politics or whatever, unlike fucking Lex, who read and studied absolutely nothing about fucking Ukraine and Russia and even got to talk to the fucking prime minister of fucking Ukraine.
Should favor the PA, but also we want you to be...
How hard is it for you during conversations like this to digest what the person is saying while trying to think of what question to ask next? I mean, nothing this guy's saying is like very crazy out of the box, so it's not like too hard to keep track of the conversation and then like just ask. It's just like genuine, curious questions for like, what would you do?
Be free and be able to choose what you want to do.
I don't think that the Palestinians are going to have,
Or sorry, Ukraine. It's the Ukrainian president, not prime minister. My bad.
Free elections. I think that the Palestinians are going to have, free elections tomorrow morning. And this notion that you can impose democracy on others without the culture of democracy, without the heritage of democracy, is truly irrelevant. The U.S. had tried it,
We've learned that in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's not, you cannot impose it. It's a matter of, willingness to live in democratic state. So I think this is not a real issue. Right now, we need to distinguish between elements that have no intention to reconcile with Israel, like Hamas, like the Jihadic Islam, and other elements that have some, intention to move forward with, some sort of reconciliation process. We should not think in terms of, all right, we close the deal and that's it, end of the conflict. It won't happen. We need to think in terms of a process. How to move forward in a process that first stage, separation, second stage, starting reconciliation, some sort of reconciliation, third step, providing, and strength this process with some sort of a formal accord. This is, my perception, and it can last, for the next 20, 30, 50 years.
What compromise are these people ready for? Good question. That's always the money question. Who knows what compromise both people are ready for that would actually be workable, right? Maybe I'm just way too America-pilled, but why wouldn't every human want to live in... Oh, wait. Democrat, because not everybody likes democracy. Is there any possibility of some sort of coalition between Hamas and the PA? Wouldn't a joint entity be easier to get into power and negotiate with at the same time? Well, it's hard to say that because Hamas has said they wanted to work with the PA in the past and then ended up like trying to coup them and kill them all. So I don't know if the PLO would trust Hamas. So who knows?
All right. But this is all about leadership, visionary leadership. We need to create the right process.
Okay. And then my last question, I guess, is what are some concrete ways you feel that Israel could be a partner or supportive of the PA that would increase the PA's ability to function and also to be a representative and to win favor with the Palestinian people?
Now we have a huge opportunity for that. let's assume that we provide the PA responsibility for the passes between the Gaza Strip and Egypt, with some sort of an international supervision. Great. You bring them to the most crucial element of Palestinian life inside the Gaza Strip. Makes sense? Of course. Let's think about, moving forward with civilian projects inside the Gaza Strip concerning electricity, sewage, whatever you think about, and other, projects.
I feel like this is a really good idea. I think I ended up parroting this, and I still do. I think that the Palestinian Authority should probably be empowered somewhat to take over the Gaza Strip and then to show that it can work with Israel, but have goodwill towards Palestinians by, funding public works projects and everything. Yeah.
Handling by the PA under the supervision of the EU. We can do it. We can move forward, but all it's needed is the courage of leaders and the vision, the common vision of Israel with its allies, with regional power, in order to consolidate a strong, pressure toward more reasonable, more secure situation in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do you want to ask a few questions? Yeah, okay. I'll swap in my partner here.